Hi, my name's Gabrielle Sullivan and I'm the manager of Martumili Artists. And Martumili Artists is the arts centre which has been established by the Martu people who live in the communities of Kunawarrigi, Well 33 on the Canning Stock Route, Punmu, Bungor, Jigalong, Iringadji, Nullagine, artists in Newman, and there's a couple of artists in another community called Warralong. And the art centre is different, as you know, to other art centres. We're not incorporated, so we're hosted by the Shire of East Pilbara. And in order to do that, we still require a management committee or a steering committee. So we have a steering committee which represents artists from all of those mentioned communities, and the process for electing that steering committee is quite informal. The artists select who those people are going to be themselves, and the requirement is that they need to be an artist with the art centre and somebody that's engaged and actively participates in art centre activities. And that doesn't matter whether you're a young artist or an old artist or an artist that sells lots of work or an artist that never sells a painting. It's about representation by everybody who is part of the art centre. So we have formal steering committees twice a year. So we have one every year at our Christmas party and Christmas sale, where the steering committee actually come into Newman so that they can be in the office space where all the administration for the art centre happens. And then we have another meeting when we have our artist camp on, which is always out in one of the remote communities. That's sort of the formal meetings. However, when our field officers are travelling around to the communities, or other staff are travelling, or artists coming to town, there's constant informal meetings. And the artists are also very good at communicating on the telephone to us or via other people, because there's no way we can drive the 2-day drive every day. So there's the formal side of it, but lots of informal discussion, and things are brought to our attention very quickly, and I guess sort of nipped in the bud if there's an issue. So just having very open channels of communication.
Why did you decide to stay unincorporated?
Well, initially with the Shire of East Pilbara, their desire was that the Arts Centre would become incorporated, because they didn't want to be responsible for the Arts Centre for, it was going to be finite was the idea. And then the artists were saying, oh, this is working good. This is good with the Shire. And initially the Martumili office was one very small room in the Shire of East Pilbara Council chambers, which meant the mob would have to come in to the Shire and into this rabbit warren of a building. And I don't think many Martu people had probably ever been to the Shire of East Pilbara administration building before. But as Martumili operations sort of got busier and more active, lots more people were coming, and I think the Shire got a sense of, well, this is interesting, this is different, and it's a good thing. There's definitely better engagement. So they were maybe a little bit more open to being part of Martumili Artists for a longer period of time. But really it came down to the artists and their confidence in the Shire for managing the financial aspect of the Arts Centre. Not the financial operations, but the security around their artists' money was important to them. And they had concerns about the establishment of another incorporated body, which they would be responsible for governing, because there are many, and there's a lot of time pressures on people to be sitting on boards and committees across all of these different organisations that also operate in some sort of hub and spoke way across those remote Western Desert communities. And how would there be time to do it? But also the Art Centre belongs to the artists, and it's about being a Martu artist, but it's about being an artist. And you either engage as an artist with the Art Centre or you don't. And it wasn't about equal service to each community, it was about equal service to each artist. And I think there was probably a sense that could get lost in an incorporated body where certain people in the community might see it as more of a power thing to be in charge of the art centre, and it was important that it remained equitable and accessible to people that sometimes feel disempowered or wouldn't usually be those people in the community that were in charge of lots of things, but they had found a voice through being artists and making art, and it was important that they still had control of how the art centre worked. If you look at like the governance structure at Martumili Artists, sometimes I think, oh, on paper, people won't think we've got very good governance because we're not incorporated, because most Aboriginal organisations are incorporated, and not so much now, because I think the wider community, especially after we made the DVD, we made a DVD that was completely in language and was subtitled, which took about 18 months to make. And it was revisiting the communities over and over again, and the artists actually acted out the policies and procedures of the art centre, which they developed with the staff. So it was like, well, we as artists we think this, and then it was like, well, there's managing an art centre, and these are some of the things that if you're going to engage with the art business, you have to do. So it was sort of like a little bit here, and this meeting two ways. And then Kat and LJ, they translated all of the content of that DVD into language and vice versa, so that it was the kind of hard end business stuff which needed to be communicated to the artists, but then also the community side of it that the artists needed to communicate back to us, so that we got it kind of level and right. So since that DVD's been made, it's been played quite broadly across all of the Martu communities, and it's given not just the artists but the wider community a better understanding of how the art centre works. So, sorry I rambled then, but going back to that governance on paper and governance in practice, I think there's really great governance in practice, and that there's other ways to do it. You don't just need to come under ORAC and the Constitution, because it might not necessarily be the best thing for your organisation. And also to think about, you know, if in whitefella society you're not necessarily responsible for the rubbish trucks coming and picking up your bins and making decisions about where footpaths go, and that to get to the crux of what it is that your organisation's trying to do. And for the artists, it was about making art on their country and making decisions about where that artwork's exhibited, how it's sold, who can participate in the art centre, and making sure that there were opportunities for young people to learn about painting and skills development. So to really think about what the priority for the organisation is and what you're trying to achieve, and then what's the best way to do that. So with Martumili, as far as making any decisions about culture and country and what the art centre does, the artists have full control over that. The part that is somewhat removed is ultimately, I guess, the financial responsibility of the grants that come into the art centre sits on the shoulder of the Shire. But you know, we still as the art centre do all of that work. It's just legally on paper that's the case. And
sounds like a good partnership.
Yeah.
Dividing the labour in terms of what people really want to do.
Yeah.
And focus on, and a good use of technology to get information out on the ground.
Yeah. And the reality is, operating in the sort of northwest in the Pilbara, there's so much, you know, the resources industry and activity going on, that it's very difficult to access housing, accommodation and even office space. And if we didn't have the support of the Shire of East Pilbara, it would have been extremely difficult to find any sort of administrative base to operate from. So it's purely, I mean, it's quite opportunistic really in some ways of the mob as well, to say, well, if the Shire can do that for us, we should let them do that for us, because it's something that they're doing well, and you know, that they are enjoying working with the Shire.